Hello and welcome back to Spotlight on Eventing. With the World Championships just around the corner, it is about time we unpick some of those leading riders and combinations that will be heading there to tackle those FEI World Championships. But not before we take a look at Burgham International, where there were so many incredible combinations, such a star-studded lineup that tackled that 4-star short combination, as well as unpicking the Festival of Youth that was held at Bishop Burton. This episode is brought to you by British Eventing and Amerigo. It was a great week at the Festival of Youth held at Bishop Burton. So many under-18 riders competing there, as well as some under-21 riders, and an opportunity for them to represent their regions across the classes from 90 all the way through to 2-star. And we saw some very good performances all round. In that 2-star short class under 21, it was Florence Wiles that took the win with Graffito in that class. They had a rail in hand on the final day, they used it and they finished with the eventual win. That under 18 2-star class also saw the junior longlist riders contesting for that all-important place on that European team, and there was big change at the top of the leaderboard with lots of problems across the country, but eventually it was Ella Howard and Marchwood that took the win in that 2-star, their third 2-star win this year, and I'm sure they will be very much under the eye of the selectors. Another junior rider that was in the top 3 was Zara Head and DHI Purple Rain. They finished in eventual third, but the biggest result for me was in second place, Zuri Dempster, a rider that has come here off the back of some novice runs. She's travelled all the way from Scotland and wasn't part of that junior long list combinations, but actually finished in eventual second place. The South East took the team win in that 2-star class, and over in the 100 class, it was Team Central that managed to secure the win, with Ollie Rowlands taking the individual win with his horse Lohan Silver Shadow. They've had loads of form at the 100 level, and it was so nice to see Ollie on the top of the podium with the lovely pony. Rosie Williams, the CEO of British Eventing, was at Bishop Burton watching all of the competitors perform, and I got to hear from her why she felt the Festival of Youth was so important. So you've been here at the Festival of Youth now for a couple of days. What has been general consensus? What have you liked? Feedback?
It's brilliant, right? This event has been evolving over time, and which is great. We've now got the Pony Club classes here as well, so we're doing a really good piece of work with working with the Pony Club to make sure that the young people, doesn't matter if they're Pony Club or BE, whatever, they've got the same journey. So, and Bishop Burton have done a great job. They've got a fantastic party hub over there that I know that you've been in, and the course, that is amazing. The level of detail that they've gone into on the cross-country course for tomorrow is phenomenal, and it looks fantastic, and the ground is great, and it looks like we might get a little bit of rain.
I know, if we're lucky. We've been desperate for rain for a very long time. And as you talk about the atmosphere being incredible here, what is it about the Festival of Youth? What makes the kids want to come? Why is it such a special and unique event?
Look, I think there's two things. I think it's about them getting lifelong friends, which is really, really important. I think there's a lot of competition. There's a bit of an inter-region competition part. There's an inter-each other competition part. But it's also a really good environment for the young riders to be practicing their craft, because it is quite different. You've got cars, and you've got lots of people around, and you've got the 2-star dressage over the other side, which is a really different environment. So it's a great place for them to start to really learn how to compete well. If that makes sense, I'm sure you understand. Yeah, I think it's really interesting. I saw a really great quote the other day from Billie Jean King that says, pressure is a privilege, and actually learning how to deal with pressure is really key. And it's really interesting because I was watching some of the 2-star dressage, and some of the horses weren't dealing with the pressure, right? And they didn't deal with the pressure terribly well, but how the riders reacted to the horse not dealing with the pressure is part of the learning. And that's a great that we have an environment like this.
Yeah, and I think having all the coaches as well here to help the riders, it's that whole team environment that maybe one day they go on to represent their country or Great Britain. This is that first experience of being like that, isn't it?
And even if they don't, It's a great environment for people to learn, as I said, learn their craft, but also just have a really good time. And if they don't go any further than here, so what? Doesn't matter. Sport's about fun, isn't it?
100%. Thanks, Rosie. As Rosie Williams talks about the importance of the Festival of Youth, it is also important we mention what a great job the cross-country team did at Bishop Burton. Joe Weller and his team put in a great effort to make the ground as good as possible and also produce a technical cross-country track. And as we look over at the CrossCountry app in that 2-star class, it was fences 5 ABC so early on that caused a number of problems, both in the 2-star and the 100. They had a rail jumping into the wood, running downhill to a ditch, and on a right-handed turn to a shoulder brush. A number of combinations ran out here, and also I think going from light to dark really early on in the track proved its challenges. And if maybe you would like to head to the Festival of Youth next year, then head over to the British Eventing Be Prepared website, where you can look at some of the training that may be important in your winter ahead of next season. As we move away from the youth of today, we look at those 4-star classes that were going on at Burgham. And there were so many entries. There were actually 2 4-star sections there. A number of combinations that were actually long-listed for those FEI World Championships decided to reroute and head to Burgham off the back of not being selected. And the first of those 4-star classes, it was Tim Price and Happy Boy that took the win and took home £1,250 in that 4-star class. Second place was Izzy Taylor and Barrington Boy. They picked up the 4.8 time penalties that dropped them from the top of the leaderboard, but I know Izzy spoke so openly about how nice it was to be back at an international competition post her accident earlier this year. Jessie Campbell and Cooley Lafitte were the only combination to finish on their dressage score in that section. And another combination that it was really interesting to see at the 4-star level was Sam Aykroyd and Jackpot, the horse formerly ridden by his girlfriend Emily King. And they actually finished in 5th place. It'll be interesting to see whether that is a new combination or whether Emily will be taking back over the ride very soon. Over in the other 4-star section, it was Brookfield Quality and Tom McEwen that managed to take the win, finishing on a score of 24.2. They were the only combination in that section that managed to finish on their dressage score. They actually won ahead of Tom Jackson and United 36, that really exciting younger horse that we saw at Badminton earlier this spring with Tom. And a couple of the riders that were longlisted for the World Championships was Yasmin Ingham and Gypsy de Loire. They finished in eventual 3rd place. And in 4th place was Gemma Stevens and Cooley Park Muse. We know she's been selected on her other ride, Flash Cooley, but this was her other horse that was also longlisted. And nice to see them get another top 10 at the 4-star level. Aachen is just around the corner and there are so many exciting combinations that are heading there. Looking at the championship, we know how tough Aachen cross country can be. And I really feel the riders and teams that are going to stand out at Aachen are going to be the ones with those 5-star form. The first team, of course, with incredible 5-star form is Team GB. We've got a number of combinations that have ridden at the 5-star level and won at the 5-star level as well. Of course, Ros Cantor and Lordships Gruffalo, the winners of Badminton, they are so competitive. The question is, can their dressage be good enough on the first day? Laura Collett and London 52, we know their dressage is very good. They won the European Championships at Blenheim last year. It's going to be so tight at the top of the leaderboard, let alone with GB, but also with that German team. Michael Young, Fisher Chipmunk, FRH, they finished in 2nd place at Blenheim last year, but what can they do next weekend? As we talk about Michael Young, the rest of the German team is incredibly competitive with a number of combinations that have competed and been inside the top 10 at the 5-star level. One of them being Christoph Wahler. He was top 10 both at Kentucky and Badminton as well. So they've got some 5-star form to their name, as well as Marlon Hansen Hoptop, who actually finished 11th at Blenheim in that European Championships last year. Labusa Lebec finished 10th at Kentucky, as well as the younger horse Utsana's Nickel with Juliet Krajewski. They have so much form. They did so well earlier on in the year, winning that German Championships. I think the German team are going to be the ones to watch against the British. The New Zealand team have a few younger horses this year, but one of the most experienced combinations on that team is Tim Price and Falco. They finished second at Badminton and Maryland, and also they were sixth at Aachen, but back in 2021, they've hit some problems at Aachen since then, so can they redeem themselves this weekend? And a combination on the New Zealand team that is so competitive in the cross-country phase is Monica Spencer and Artis. They run around inside the time at a number of 5 stars now, but Aachen is incredibly twisty, so will they be able to put that performance to good use next weekend? The Irish team are also another team that I think could be ones to watch. With Aoife Clarke and Full Monty de la Sense, they finished round 4th at Burgham in the 4-star long earlier this spring. They've got the likes of Porrick McCarthy and MGH Zabioni on the team. We know they can be so competitive in the first phase, as well as Georgie Goss and Kojak. We know also they can do a good test. So I think there's loads of competitiveness in that team. But a team I think we've got to mention that are probably a bit under the radar is the Brazilian team. They have Marcio Cavallo-Jorge and Royal Encounter in that team. They jumped around Badminton earlier this spring, as well as Rafa Lozano with Withington, another combination that have been at the 5-star level. Probably quite rare for the Brazilian team to have riders that have competed at the 5-star level. So they will be exciting to watch to see how under the radar they end up being. As we talk about being under the radar, how exciting for the Australian team to have Oliver Barrett at this World Championships, just 22 years old. We know he has already won a 5-star so young. This is a rider that could actually have been out at the under-25 World Championships for another 3 years. So incredible to see him on the Senior World Championship team for Australia. The French team are renowned for being incredibly good cross-country, and this year I expect it to be no different. Gaspard Maxud and Zaragoza, they finished 7th at Badminton earlier this spring. Unfortunately, last time at Aachen, they fell a couple of fences from home, so they're going to want to redeem themselves this weekend, I'm sure. USA had a slight change to their team, with Philip Dutton unfortunately having to withdraw Passant. So he's now replaced this with Denim, but obviously a younger, less experienced horse and not USA team's first pick. And finally, Boyd Martin, the competitive horse, Cooley Nutcracker, that actually ran at the Olympic Games back with Elizabeth Halliday. Since then, Boyd's taken over the ride. They've had so much form, and I really think it is going to be incredibly hotly contested. So many nations that can challenge the top of the leaderboard. As I said, I really feel that 5-star cross-country form is going to be so important around the test that is Aachen Cross Country. And that's all we've got time for this week. Thanks again to British Eventing and Amerigo. So much to look forward to next week. We will start to be looking at the Hartpury International that is taking place the same weekend as those World Championships in Aachen, and also Aston Le Walls that takes place this weekend too. See you then.